Hey guys, welcome to the Fonto tutorial. It's part of the Instagram Growth Academy. Glad you're here. We're getting to the good part of the tutorial now. We just got past the setting up Instagram and the profile. So this is Fonto. If you didn't get a chance to download it yet, go ahead and do so. You can either search for Fonto on the store or in the lecture notes, I do have it listed with a hyperlink. Fonto UI is very simple to use. On the bottom left, you have a menu, and more items will show up here once we have something on the screen. We don't yet, so it's very simple. I'm going to go back. In the middle, you have a camera, and when you select that camera, it's to load an image. You can either take a photo with your camera, load something up from your photo albums. You can use a plain image, or you can restore a previous state, which essentially means if you did some work and you just want to reset and you want a clean slate, this is the button you press. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel. So what we want to do in this tutorial is I want to show you how to do something with a plain background. And the cool thing about Fonto, it already offers that. So I'm going to select the camera and I'm going to go into plain image, and this pops up. We can either select this default black one, there's a default white one, and something that's lined like a notebook. They're right under the black one. Everything else is locked. If you select on them, it's going to tell you to buy the image pack. I have it purchased, but for the sake of this tutorial, so you don't have to spend any money, I'm going to teach you on the free version. If you decide that after you've used Fonto, you want to buy it, feel free to do so. I think it's a great tool to have. So I'm going to go cancel. I'm going to use this black background. I'm going to just tap on it. So it takes you into an image menu. At the top, you see the size. It's 2048 by 2048, a plain square. If you tap that, you can do a custom size. You can do a square ratio, which is what's best for Instagram, so I'd recommend you leave it as is. The 1024 is half the resolution. You can use it. I just prefer to work off of the 2048. That way I know I'm getting a very good quality post. If you scroll down, you can do different ratios and even specific sizes for phones. I'm going to go back to the edit. So the 4 squares on the bottom, you don't even have to worry about that right now. If you tap where it says color, you can change the color of that box. See, if you know which RGB you want, if you want a very specific color, you can either reduce the red, the green, or the blue. The alpha is if you want it to be transparent or not. I don't, so I'm going to leave it all the way up, and I'm going to hit apply. So now I have a white box. That's why I selected the black one first, so we can change it to white. On the very bottom, you can change the way the image is laid out. You can see the second one has a border, the third one has a thinner border, the fourth one, it's already not centered, but you have to purchase these. Again, if you want to do this, and if you're going to be using these plain posts more often, I'd recommend you buy it. If not, then let's just work with what we have. So I'm going to go to cancel, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the share button on the top right. You can either save this image to your library in case you need it for something. You can use and save it, or you can just use it, which is what we're going to do. So there, it came up. This is the canvas we're going to be working on. If you tap anywhere on the canvas, it's going to say add text, and you can add any text you want. I'm going to try to create the image that we recently posted on our Instagram. Okay, I already know what giving up feels like. I want to see what happens if I don't. If you select the align button, you can align the text however you'd like. I'm going to do a center align. If you select the font on the bottom left, you can change the font to anything you want. See the button on the bottom gives me all the fonts. The button in the middle, if I want to install fonts, I don't because there's just too many options. And the star button on the right tells you some of the fonts you've recently used. Preset is if you have some text or dates that you'd like to use. Typically some people like to post either the date or the time or something consistently on their pictures. I don't have any of that. I'll teach you how to do presets in the second video. You can select symbol to do either like the Apple logo, the copyright logo, the registered logo. A lot of these aren't in the emoji keyboard for an iPhone, so this is nice to have. So I'm going to hit close. I'm not going to use any of them. I'm going to hit done, and I'm going to see what that looks like. So I have white font on a white background. I'm going to select style real quick, and I'm going to just make this black just so we can see it. Now you see on Fonto, it does not create line breaks for you. So what you want to do is you want to select that text. You're going to hit text, and you're going to have to do manual line breaks. So I spaced it after every third word. I'm going to hit done, see how that looks. That looks a lot better. I'm going to go to size, and I'm just going to slide this over. You can use the plus and minus, but I don't need it. I think that looks good. So now what I need to do is, when I select it, if I select text, it'll go back to the edit box. I'm going to hit done. If I select font, it's going to take me back to that font screen that I showed you guys earlier. So I'm going to close that out. So once you come into this menu, you can either do color or style on the top. I'm going to stay on the color for now. Within this section, there's 3 different sections. There's text, and you can change the color of the text. I have it selected to white, so I'm going to change that to black. You can change the color as you see fit. If you know the RGB, again, just like the background, you can plug that in manually. I do not. The alpha, again, if you have something in the background and you want that to be transparent, you can do that here in the alpha. If you go to stroke, it's the outline. So let's say we do red. I'm going to make it a little wider, or you can make it a little thinner. The negative stroke essentially starts going into the text, versus this pushes it out. See, this kind of takes it away from the text. I'm just going to leave that at 0. I actually don't want 1. If you go into background, it's essentially just going to create a box around or behind the text. And you can do the same thing with the alpha to make it transparent. You can actually scroll down here and change the width. If you want to make it round, you can either change the style of it. So let's say you want kind of a banner look. See, that'll give you a banner look. I am actually going to turn that off, so I'm going to go back. And I am going to go to the normal one. Turn the alpha off. Back to text. So now I'm going to hit done. Size, I already showed you what it does. You can tilt it if you feel like something is crooked. And you can see the angle on the left appearing. You can move it manually here, or you can just kind of drag it around. If you want it to be perfectly center, you can use the manual alignment. You can swipe to the right, and it's going to give you curve. Keep in mind, curve does not work with multiple lines. So for instance, if I add even a little curve, it's going to make everything a single line. I can wrap it all the way around. If you go back to 0, it'll put your text back the way it was. You can also do some 3D motion, but that's paid for. You do cancel. You can erase. When you do erase, it's almost like having an eraser up to the text or anything you want, versus the trash button, which is here on the bottom. I'm not going to trash the text because I need it. Cancel. Okay. So that's how you create a clear post. So that's how you create a plain post. If you go into the menu on the bottom left, you can add an item, which they have several different items. If you want to add alternative text to this, you just tap again, add text, and you can add your @ move it around, make it smaller, and there you have it. In the menu on the left, you can add items. You can see it gives us a lot of bubbles. You can edit the number next to the bubble, but they're going to make you pay for it. So let's say you want the Instagram like, and you can see there's a little lock next to it on the left. So I can't change it unless I buy the bubble generator add-on. I don't need that right now. And you can change the icon. I'm going to go back. You see there are bubbles on the second tab. If you want to add something to it, there's a few more icons on the third, and even some decorations on the last. So let's say we wanted to add a decoration to this. I'm going to add, let's say I just add these stars. So I add these stars. I selected the text. I'm going to tap on, okay. And when that's the case, just move everything out. You can put that back in a second. Put it on the bottom right. I'm going to bring the text back. And I'm going to change their color to something a little more starry. Like that. Yeah, that's better. I also want to show you how to style the text. So you go back in, you go to style. The second tab on the top says style. And you can do 4 different things. You can do shadow, spacing, curving, and underline. Starting with shadow, the alpha again is if you want it to appear. I do, but very slightly. The blur is if you want a soft shadow, as you can see here, or a hard shadow. I want it a little blurred. And then this is to move it on the x-axis or the y-axis. The most common is a bottom right shadow. There you go. You can select the color of the shadow, yellow, blue, or green, any color you want. Or you can use one of the 5 presets on the bottom. The one on the very left is to clear it and reset. The second one is a glow to the bottom right, glow to the bottom left, a hard shadow to the bottom, a hard shadow to the right, or an all-rounded glow. Fairly simple. The spacing is self-explanatory. You can either do letter spacing or line spacing. Curving, and again, it does not support multi-line text, so if we add this, it's not going to save the text as is. It's going to make it a single line. So I'm going to leave that at 0. And then you can underline. And there are multiple types of underlines. I'm not going to do one right now. And if you just want to see what it looks like, it's a single solid. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do none. I'm going to get rid of the shadow. And I'm going to hit done. The line spacing changed, so I'm going to change the size. Make it a little smaller. There we go. And if you want to remove the icon, you can. You just press remove. And it's gone. Once you're ready to export, all you have to do is select the share button on the bottom right and then export it however you want. I typically will save it and then open it on Instagram, or you can go directly to Instagram from here. Copy to Instagram.